guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marisa Kazem, and today I'm going to be setting up the month of August in my bullet journal. So for this month, I decided to go with an ocean theme. I've really been wanting to use gouache paint in my bullet journal, and I haven't had the chance to try it yet, and I thought of doing an ocean theme, but I didn't really want to do an ocean with markers or, brush pens. I just felt like I really wanted to use paint. So I thought this would be the perfect month, and this was also the only month this year where I've actually had time to do something like this. So that's what I'm doing for this setup. So here, as you can see, the first thing I've done is lay down the color of the sand. I'm basically going to be painting an ombre effect, starting with dark blue at the top, and I'm going to mix in a bit of black paint as well to really deepen that blue. And then I'm gradually going to blend the blue shades together and have a blurry faint line between the sand and the lighter blue of the ocean. Now this whole look of this painting is not an original by me. I was inspired by this other painting I saw on YouTube. I'll link the guy's channel below. He did a watercolor tutorial of how to paint water, and he basically did something that looks similar to this, but he used watercolors and I'm using gouache. And I really like the look of his painting, so I thought I would use that as my inspiration for this bullet journal setup. One thing I will say about doing this in gouache paint is that you really have to spend time blending the colors together. With watercolor, it's a little bit easier to make the colors blend. However, I'm not the best at watercolor, and watery paint doesn't do well on bullet journal paper. The thicker the paint, the less likely it is the page is going to warp, I've noticed. So that is why I went with gouache paint. Also because I just wanted a more opaque look. If I had used watercolor in this bullet journal, you would still see all of the dots from the dot grid, but when you use gouache paint, it completely covers it up, and I just really like how that looked. Also, for the white details that I'm using for the waves, I'm actually using white ink. I'll link the one that I used down below. The guy in the YouTube video also did the same thing. He used white ink. I did a practice version of this and I used white gouache paint, but I noticed I just couldn't get it to be thin and liquidy enough, but also pigmented. So that is why I went with the ink, and it turned out really well. And the best part about finishing a painting is peeling off that tape. It's just so satisfying seeing that clean line. For this month, the quote that I wanted to use was, "An ocean breeze puts the mind at ease" by Ali Gordon, and I just love that. It's literally like what the ocean is to me. Like, I love just going to the sea and just feeling the breeze and smelling the salty air and just leaving it at that, It's just the perfect relaxation, and I feel like that's what I need to feel this month. I need to feel relaxed. Also, for the rest of this setup, I do speed through the painting a little bit quicker, just because I'm doing I think 6 to 9 paintings. I haven't fully counted, but there's a lot of paintings in this setup, so I decided to speed through the rest of them a little bit faster. But if you want to watch a proper tutorial, definitely check out the guy's channel that I'm going to link below. In this entire setup, I painted the ocean in this horizontal way twice, and it was definitely my least favorite. It's very difficult to try and blend all these blue and sandy shades in a very small amount of space. So if you're going to create this, I just want to let you know that it's really difficult doing the top or the bottom of the page. I would definitely recommend just sticking to a more vertical layout for this style of painting. For this setup, I really disliked the black dots that I did for the dates. I initially thought it'd be okay, and then I just decided I didn't like it, so I'm painting over them with white ink. I've tried using gouache paint or an Archer and Olive acrylograph pen, but it doesn't actually work the same, and I can't use a Tombow brush pen over them, but I decided to use white ink, and I used my blue Tombow brush pen over those dots, and it created the exact same color, and you literally can't tell that those dots used to be black. So if you have black ink that you want to cover, but you want to be able to go over it again, I would definitely recommend using white ink because it works amazingly well. Also, for the painting that I did on the cover page, I don't have any footage of the darker shadow of the wave, and I'm not sure why or where it went, so I decided to just include it here. I basically painted a darker blue wave right in the center, and that's the breaking point between the wave with the white lines versus what's in front of it. And that's what the guy did in the tutorial too, and I love how it looks. It definitely adds a lot more depth to the painting and makes it look a little bit more realistic. So all of my previous mood trackers have been like drawings that I color in, but for this month I thought I would do a graph, and I'll basically draw a line out to however my mood is that day, and by the end of the month it should look like a wave pattern. I have to say, this is definitely the most challenging bullet journal theme I've done so far, and it's definitely the lengthiest theme. This in total took me around 27 or 28 hours to complete, because getting gouache paint to blend is kind of tricky because of how quickly it will dry, and it was just very timely to do, but it was fun and I definitely had time for it this month. And that's what I really wanted to do, just do something fun and creative in my bullet journal. So these two spreads are just my habit tracker and my weight tracker. This month I had to turn my weight tracker on its side since I wanted to fit the ocean in, but I actually prefer it. It's a smaller, more decent size. And this next page is my productivity tracker. I love using this tracker so much. Basically, every hour of the day I just highlight with a different color what I'm doing. The categories I have written down are sleep, exercise, relax, and productive. And obviously those mean different things to everyone. For me, relaxing is basically if I'm just watching a show on YouTube, reading, like anything that doesn't have anything to do with planning or something, you know, more important. And then obviously exercise I want to track more. And then productive hours are basically when I'm working on my YouTube channel or job hunting, which I have to do soon. And I just love keeping track of those things, and it's good to see how many hours a day you spend doing what. I feel like it's very insightful. So for this month, I'm doing something different for my weeklies. As you just saw, I cut out the edges of my weeklies, and that's because I did not want to paint the ocean on 4 weekly spreads. I just can't do it. I don't have the patience for it. So I decided to do what I've seen other people do, where they keep the borders the same for each week and they just trim the page down and have the weeklies in the middle. And I've never done it before, but I love how it turned out, especially for this setup, because I am not painting any more oceans. I'm over it. And it just turned out so cute, and it kept the weeklies simple and looking the same. In previous months, I always drew every weekly looking different, but I don't have time this month because I'm going to be moving house and also job hunting, and I just don't have time to draw and paint every single week. But this turned out exactly how I wanted it to look, and it's just really nice every day just looking at the ocean in my bullet journal. Also, for the edges of my weeklies, I decided to tape them with some washi tape that's kind of like a sandy color. I've seen Leela Journals do this in her bullet journal, and I will link her channel below. And I just love how it looks. It definitely gave a more polished look to my weeklies, and then I rounded the corners off with a corner cutter, and it just looked a lot more professional than it just being like some wonky cut line with some scissors. Here I am finally onto the last painting of this setup. I was so relieved when I got to this point. It was so late in the day and I was so tired. I actually had to spread all this painting out over like 3 days because I just could not do it all in one sitting. It's really exhausting, but I was very relieved to be on this last painting. I do think I rushed it a bit in comparison to the other ones, but it's good enough. It was on my last monthly review and monthly check-in page. Anyway, I'm finally at the end to this flip through. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're still here watching, thank you so much. I'm very grateful if you've made it to the end. This setup was very challenging but very fun to do, and I encourage you to paint in your bullet journals. It is really fun and very vibrant, but it is a bit timely, but definitely worth it. So anyway, thank you again so much for watching. If you want to see more photos of this setup, I will be posting them on my Instagram account, Marisa Kazem, which I'll leave a link for down below. Otherwise, I hope you guys are having a good one wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.